Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to some. I just wanted to address a matter. I did address this yesterday, but um, the system deleted part of my video, so I'm just going to make it quick. I'm going to see if I can sum this up in 10 minutes. The topic I want to address is about physical abuse in relationships, especially marriage. Now, in the word it says, God is not the author of confusion, but a God of peace, just like me and my sister was talking about the other day. God does not want his children being abused and mistreated. I've been told, via Facebook, a gentleman who's actually on my page, he was saying that um, if a woman separates from her husband, she should return to to her husband even after being physically abused, because he was saying, well, God can restore marriages who have suffered physical abuse and who have suffered infidelity. Yeah, that's true enough, but you're not obligated to take that spouse back if that person has wronged or mistreated you. That's what he didn't put. And in my own experience, as far as being in abusive relationships in my younger years, I would say in my early 20s. Um, yeah, after the birth of my first daughter, that's when I experienced physical abuse with their father. And I had been through a lot with him. And it seemed like the more, and this is geared to the women. In general, of course, men aren't supposed to deal with that either with their wives or even with their significant others. But the more children I had with him, the more abusive he got. So I had my first daughter, and it was somewhat of okay. After that, and that's what I want to also say. This is just a mixture of different things, but mainly the topic of physical abuse. But with relationships, just because you have kids with a man doesn't mean he's gonna be faithful. Just because you uh, have good sex with a man doesn't mean he's gonna be faithful. Just because you're pretty or beautiful or exotic doesn't mean you're gonna be faithful. The man's gonna be faithful to you. Faithfulness is a choice, and it has to come from the heart when it comes to people. Um, that's my stance on that. But in that relationship, I suffered physical abuse. Um, he was on the jealous side, even though he liked for, I know it's kind of course, all men want their women to look attractive and maybe want somebody else to want them because they wouldn't want them either. But I suffered physical abuse in that relationship. Um, First thing I experienced with him, I found that out he was cheating, and I'm just like, what is all this? I had this kid and this and that and everything else. You wanted a child, I had it, and this is how you gonna do me? And I had snatched something out of his hand, and somehow he ended up slapping me in my face, and I'm just like, and I walked away. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Seeing my mistake right there, that should have been it, because a man hits you once, he'll hit you again. And I was like, how could you do this to me? I remember myself crying and everything else, Even with slap, mainly, I wasn't talking about the cheat no more like a slap in my face. And with that, and then with my, as time went on, he wasn't like no woman beater, but still and yet, he did not control himself. He was temperamental. And I did discover him. I remember him telling me that he lost his dad at a young age, so he didn't really have that real father figure. Of course, his mom dated, but he didn't have that real father figure to steer him in the right direction when it comes to treating women. And he told me that his dad used to chase his mom around the house or whatever, so he was abusive. So he ended up being abusive. Um, and some people think like, oh, a man's only gonna be abusive just to you and not to me, kind of thing. No, he's gonna be abusive some way with you, and the abuse starts verbally, mentally, verbally, and then physically. And the worst part experience I've had is when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. I was in college. I was working, going to school, taking care of my kids, everything. It don't matter. A man gonna cheat. A man gonna mistreat. It don't matter what you do for him. None of that. It don't matter. He gonna do what he wanna do anyway. So he asked me to look back on the back seat, look at the baby's head. I'm like, no, she's okay or whatever. I thought she was fine, but she had her head like kind of drooping. I'm like, nothing wrong with her. Next thing I know, because I didn't do what he thought or suggested while he was driving, he punched me in my face. And when he punched my face, my nose swelled up. Blood was coming out of my nose and was coming out of my mouth. And with me being a light complexion, those bruises come just like that. The next day, I didn't go to work because my eyes were swollen shut. Not one of them, both of them. They're swollen shut, and I was just trying to, get, get the swelling down before I went back to work. And I believe at the time I had contact lenses. I used to wear my contacts all the time, I believe. So I remember going to work the next day and I ended up putting on like some shades or whatever, and two of my coworkers seen it. And I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, because I left that job April 2002. So April, May, June, July, August. I think I was still working there. And no, I was about due. But anyway, yeah, I was still working there. And she's like, oh, well, you gonna let him do this to you, and all that kind of stuff. Well, long story short, he had met a woman at the mall, and I found out about it, and I came up there. I was like, how in the heck you apologizing to this woman for me showing up to see you with her at the mall, and I'm here with black eyes and bruises, and you sure as heck ain't apologize to me about nothing. About how you did me, and I'm pregnant and have your kids. How is it you apologizing to her and not me? That's what really boggled my mind. And it was just atrocious. It was just like mind-boggling to me that you're gonna do this to me and then you're apologizing to her because I came up there. It was just terrible. It was terrible, terrible experience. Make a long story short, we got into it, and I think a few years. I think before that, we went to go visit his mom in Indiana, and he tried to choke me in the hotel room because I wouldn't have sex with him. No, I'm not having sex with you, and you're having sex with somebody else, and I know about it. No, I'm not doing that. So we got into a fight, and I ended up pushing him with my legs. He was on top of me trying to choke me or trying to kill me at the time. And I pushed him with my feet, and I guess he wasn't expecting me to get him up off of me. And I heard God say, use your feet. And I pushed him, and then he chased me out of the hotel room. This was like in the evening time. And had my kids been in the car, if I had gotten the car keys and my kids had been in the car, me getting them settled in, because the hotel room and the car wasn't too far like from each other, it was like right there. I would have left him in the hotel. I'd have left him, went to the police department, and got some help, and fixed it where I could drive back and not been bothered with him at all. I would have left him right in Indiana. I would have left him right there. So I've been through things, physical abuse I did not deserve. I've even heard some men say that women deserve to be abused. Oh, what's up? It must have been something spiritually the woman's doing to her for hurt him to even want to be abusive. What? Like, how can you say that? Like, that's just so evil to me. And I don't believe in women hitting men. I don't believe in men hitting women. I don't believe in none of that. I do know you had a right to defend yourself. I do know that. But I don't believe in all that fussing, fighting, and arguing and everything. And some people are attracted to toxicity, toxic relationships. They love that. As for me, I do not. So I say all that to say is if you are going through something like that or anything that I mentioned to you, get out of it. Because God always gives us a way of escape. He does not want us to dwell in relationships that are not beneficial or fruitful to us. Whether you are a Christian, non-Christian, or what have you. God loves us all. God loves us. He has a wonderful plan for our lives, and is not to be with abusive spouse, abusive mate, none of that. It's not about any of that. So I just want to encourage someone today in regards to that. God did not call you to be drama-filled in the drama-filled relationship. He called you to be in peace. Peace like a river, quiet. Someone who's going to love and adore and care for you, not somebody who's going to abuse you and mistreat you, physically abuse you, emotionally abuse you, financially abuse you, spiritually abuse you, mentally abuse you, none of that. Because anything that comes of mental and verbal ends up being physical abuse. And if a man or woman being physically, if a man in general, I'm talking women, is being physically abusive to you, then they don't have no respect for you. Each time they hit you, that's just respect out the door, and it chips away at the love you have for them as well. But I just wanted to address that. I've been through some things. I've been abused, mistreated, cheated on. It don't matter how beautiful you are, what your sexual style is. It don't matter what it is. You can be the finest woman on the planet, and the man still cheat. If a man is not fully committed to your relationship, ain't nothing you can do about that but leave. Marriages and relationships do not cure lust. Marriage and relationships do not cure loneliness. Marriage and relationships are to cure aloneness. There's a difference between loneliness and aloneness. And sometimes we can pick and choose partners because we are lonely and tired of being alone and by ourselves. That is a difference. So that was what my video was about today. I made one yesterday, but I didn't want to go ahead and put that one in here with this one, but I just want to make this one. And I also want to say, whatever you have asked God in prayer for, and you know you are walking right with Him when it comes to a mate or a spouse, God will, if you place a desire of your heart in your heart for a mate, for a husband, He will give it to you. Sometimes we can be impatient, end up with the wrong ones. Sometimes you can be patient and still up with the wrong one. So I just want to shed light on it. And if you are in an abusive relationship, an abusive marriage, you have every right to leave. Don't let nobody, I don't care if it's a prophet, apostle, bishop, such and such, and all of that kind of different stuff. They're telling you, oh, well, you know what? You need to stay in that marriage because, oh, you know, God hates divorce. Yeah, he hates divorce, but He don't want you being beat on either. So stop caring about what somebody else thinks about what you're going to do. Whatever you about to do, if you leaving somebody who's abusing or mistreating you, that's between you and God. And that's it. Don't allow people to manipulate you into staying in bondage. I can't wait till my sister, she does her live. And I'm just telling you my testimony about what I went through and how I got out of it. The way I got of this is that there was another woman, I guess he said he wanted to be with. We split. And when I was about to move, I was like, okay, we split good. Excuse me. He got out. I went ahead and got my things together because he made me lose my great job I had. He made me lose my apartment. So I went ahead and moved out of that apartment that we shared. And he came back to see, like, oh, what happened? I'm like, what do you mean what happened? What happened was I moved. Because all the stuff was out of my apartment when he came by. Oh, wait, I'm going to get you for abandonment. I didn't get him for abandonment because my children ain't here. They're at the sitter, so I'm busy handling my business. So I ended up starting over. I had a nice full-time job, had a car, had my apartment. He didn't want to pay his rent. That was agreement privately between us two. He would pay the rent every month, $445 a month. Since we were settling things outside of court, he wanted to renege on that because he said, "Oh well, if you have sex with me, I'll give you this money." I was like, "I'd rather not. I'd rather be dirt poor again than to sit up there and sleep with you, and you've been sleeping with everybody else, and I'm supposed to open myself up to you. Like, forget you." Not only that, but we were together. We had 3 kids. So what's the ideal point of that? So he put me in a bind. I had to move. And because I moved so abruptly, I didn't turn in the keys. So they had to put that on my credit report, which I actually got all that off. I ended up getting that straightened out and everything with them, letting them know what I was going through as far as domestic. So that was squared away and taken care of. Years ago. So I had to start from the bottom. I didn't have a job. I had to go down and I already was getting food stamps because of my income, but I had to go to the welfare, get a welfare check. Then I had to take part of that welfare check, give it to the place where I can go get a new apartment. It's like, oh, well, give us about a week. We'll go ahead and see if we can get you moved in. Yeah, that went quick. Got moved in. So God protects babies and fools, and trust me, I've been a fool. And I've been a big fool in my 43 years of life. By the time I was in my 20s, by the time I was 23, I already been through things that a 40-year-old woman already been through. So that's why some people who are older than me, they thought, oh, wait, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I already been through that in my 20s. So when you leave an abusive relationship, you will have to start over. For women who are at home and ain't working, and if you're being abused by your mate, get you a work-at-home job and put those kids in a daycare, or put them in daycare and go back to work. Stop relying on that man's income. Oh, I need his income. No, you don't need your own. The longer you rely on him, the more you're going to stay stuck. Like he wants you to stay stuck to him. I don't believe in, I believe if you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, I still believe you need a little money on the side for yourself. I don't care how holy and spiritual the man is. I don't care. Because a lot of people put on facade. It may be for a month, 2 months, 2 years, 3 years, 20 years. It doesn't matter. Always have your own money. Stop listening to other people. Oh, well, everything to be together and the togetherness and all that kind of different stuff. Shoot. Have your own money. Have your own money. People flip the script. And unless in there in your spirit you have the peace that passes all understanding from God, fine, roll with what the Lord gives you. But if you uncertain and somebody just starts just acting different, get your own money. Don't be lazy. Don't be stagnant. Don't be complacent. Get your own money. Go back to work. Put those kids in daycare. If you can't get them daycare, find a place, a job that's like non-working phone where you can just type and do your work and all of that. There's a will. Where there's a will, there is a way. So I just want to share my testimony. I had to build myself from the ground up, welfare checks and everything else, and then eventually for about a year at that home, and then I put my kids in daycare because I was in subsidized housing, and I went into home care. I did home care for 12 years, and that was that. I built myself back a little bit more. Um, I just want to encourage you all today: get out of those abusive relationships. The men don't change. They just, for a little while, they may be a little quiet and peaceful, and then it only takes something else to set them off to do something else to you. A lot of pastors and preachers have told women to stay in abusive relationships, and they've had to do the eulogy at these women's funerals. So woe unto them who tell people to stay in relationships that not only were not ordained by God, not only were not ordained by God, but are abusive because God doesn't want his children to be hurt and mistreated. I hope this video blesses you. If you're more than welcome to share it. More than welcome. You're more welcome to comment, share, however you want to do that. If you like, there's no obligation for you to do so. But I just want to encourage you. There is something better on the other side of this, of whatever situation you're going through. There's something better over there. Something better over there. And that man say, well, that woman that man may not want you with kids. That's a lie. Many men love kids and will take on your kid no matter how many you have, because they're thinking about the love they have for that woman. It's not about the amount of the children with some. So I just want to throw that in, okay? God bless you all. Have a great day. Remember, God loves you, and so do I. Be blessed. Bye-bye.